so wonderful to be here, although I must admit I have a couple tough acts to follow. I was asked to come today, and I'm honored to be here to kind of speak a little bit about what can we do. There is so much. But the first thing I want to say is kind of following on what Kate was saying on how heartening and enriching it is to come out to one of these events. This is one of the things we can do and we will keep doing. We are not going anywhere. We are building our strength. We are energizing each other. We're inviting in our friends and neighbors, and we're going to get this done. Period. So thank you for being here today and bringing your good energy, because when I say it's good energy, every time I come to one of these events where we're talking about these travails, I think every one of us has a bit of anger in us when we're looking at what's happening, some disappointment and anger. But I think most of us are here for love, out of love and the passion for what we know needs to happen, and that we're not going to let anything stop us from making sure the right things get done. So again, I thank you for being here, and I invite you to bring in your friends and neighbors to this conversation and this action. So I can talk a little bit about the foundations of what we've done, and from a government perspective. Kate spoke a little bit about what we've done at the county level, and the county and the city and Jefferson County and Port Townsend came together back in 2006 and passed a resolution saying this thing is real, we've got to beat it, and we're going to reduce our greenhouse emissions by 90% below the 1990 levels, the whole thing that you've heard from all the different agencies out there. And we are working on that, and we are making strides. And we started with trying to get government to lead the way by cleaning up our own home. Government has a role. We have buildings, we have cars, we have facilities that could do a better job, and we're chipping away at that. We've improved some of our facilities to reduce their energy use. We're looking at using electric and hybrid vehicles, etc. All the things we all know we need to do, but that's a small little piece of the pie, and you all know it. And so we're going to continue to work with our state and federal governments and push hard that they do more and not pull us out of what needs to be done. I think in the end, we've passed that tipping point. And that tipping point hopefully is not the climate tipping point, but the tipping point of where the people of the world know what has to be done, and we will all see it get done. So that comes back, though, to the individuals. What are we going to be doing as individuals? We've all challenged each other, ourselves, our neighbors, our businesses to do things. And so how are we going about doing that? And when we looked at our own emissions in Jefferson County, and I imagine they're probably very similar here in Clallam County, we realized that some of the big issues we have are with transportation. That is, in a rural environment, we all have to get long distances, and oftentimes that's with cars and vehicles. And so transportation is a huge challenge. And so we each have to look at our own behavior. And I know I look at mine, and I'd love to have a new electric car. And I'd love to have a body that allowed me to ride a bicycle. But that's not happening for me. It might be for you, and I applaud you, and I encourage you to do that. But maybe, like me, you can kind of look at organizing your trips. So you only have to make one trip, and you don't have to backtrack and go back and forth. Or you can work to leave your car at home 1-2 days a week. Everybody can do something to impact our transportation. Another thing you can do is when government's coming out, and we're working regionally, the project that Kate mentioned on understanding the impacts to climate change was a regional effort. There's, we all know climate knows no boundaries. They especially don't know the boundary between Clallam and Jefferson County, right? I mean, this is the North Olympic Peninsula. We all live in this beautiful, pristine place that we all want to save. We all share her. So we worked on that as a region, and now we're working as regionally to bring in charging stations for electric vehicles, paving the way to make it easier for people to get electric vehicles and use them to help minimize our transportation needs. We also have to build infrastructure for more biking trails. So even if you don't have that electric car or you're not riding your bicycle, give us the political will, give us your backing and your permission to move forward on those kinds of projects so that we can build that infrastructure for what has to happen next. There's a lot more we can do individually. I think we are getting rained out here. I want to mention, though, a couple of things. We've benefited from working with several nonprofits in Jefferson County who came together to help us put together a wonderful website. It's called Jefferson Can, all one word. And can you guess what CAN means? Climate Action Now. And that website has been put together so you can go up there, and if you want to find out how do you go about switching over, how do I find an electric bicycle, where are the bike trails, where are the recycling centers, what's transit, okay? It's very localized information to empower you to make the changes that you can make, that you can share with your neighbors. It's an easy website to remember, jeffersoncan.org. Share it with your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. Another thing you can do, maybe even tomorrow, there's a wonderful movie showing in Port Townsend right now called Tomorrow. Yeah, we had a special showing. And actually it opened in Port Townsend and New York City at the same time. The U.S. release, woohoo! And it's all about empowering us, what we can do, sharing wonderful inspirational stories of what can be done. It sparks the imagination and the enthusiasm. Please come over. If you can make it to Port Townsend, come see it. I'm sure if you can't make it to Port Townsend, it will be coming out more broadly soon. Keep your eyes open for it. Very simple name, Tomorrow.
What time and where?
It's showing at the matinee at the Rose Theater. You can look it up. 4 o'clock? Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, 4 o'clock at the Rose Theater.
Great movie!
Yay! Great movie. And I'm just going to end with this one last thought. And it kind of loops back around to what we can do and using our very positive and open energy to make this happen. I was so encouraged yesterday when, in a bit of a dark moment, as I was listening to the radio, as I want to do often as I'm going about my chores, listening to all the interviews with voters for the current administration asking about the 100 days. And it was kind of some hard listening. But at the end, there was this one gentleman that was just singing the praises of everything that's happening, and I'm trying to accept that we all have our different perspectives, and that's fine. But the questioner came around and said, well, what do you think about climate change and what's going on with that? And there was a long pause. And he said, I never really understood that before. I didn't think about it much, and I just thought it was this hoax, these people trying to, cause us to spend a lot of money that we didn't need to spend, and we had more important things. But I'm seeing things now that kind of make me wonder. And I'm really worried about that, and I want to learn more, and it's hard. It's confusing. There's a lot of information out there. So I ask you to keep your hearts open, and to keep your minds open, and keep your arms open for your friends and neighbors who previously weren't awake to this. As you say, stay woke up and wake up others. That's what we can do. Thank you.